my YouTube family. How are you doing? So today I'm going to show you how to make your very own pet memorial stone for your loved one. So grab your paints and your tools and let's get started. Today I am using this 6-inch by 4-inch pretty flat river rock. I'm making this stone for my niece Haley, who lost her dog Mufasa, her best friend, very suddenly. And she was just absolutely devastated by this loss. And if you've ever lost a pet, you know how big of a loss this can be. Now I'm just going to base coat the stone, the top of the stone, with some black paint, and this is a Deco Art paint. And you could use any color that you want. You don't have to go with black, but that's just what I'm going to do today. And I'm using like a nice wide 2-inch brush. And then you want to make sure it's good and dry before you start. So you're going to find your center line, because I'm going to start with a paw print, and I want the paw print to be right underneath the center line because I need room on the top for the name. So I'm just going to eyeball it here and mark where I think the center is, and then if you are a little uncomfortable just eyeballing it, go ahead and grab your ruler and just make sure that it is, right in the halfway point. Both ways there. Yep, and that's right at the 2, so that will work. And it doesn't have to be exact. So just ignore the rain noise in the background. It's pouring. It has been pouring for days here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Anyway, so I traced my little puppy Pablo's paw print just to kind of get an idea of a typical paw print, and then I wanted to be able to make a paw print with using our tools. And I wanted to be able to share that with you so that you know that we can all make this. This is not that difficult. So anyway, I kind of etched on the paw print design that I'm going to go for, and the size of it. It's just more of just a reference for my tools. And then go ahead and grab your silver tool. Now I'm using Extreme Sheen by Deco Art paints, and it's a metallic paint. It's called 24 karat gold. It's beautiful. It's gold. It's a really yellow gold, and it's super shiny, and it's beautiful. So you just kind of stick your tool down, and then you just kind of move it downwards just a little bit. You're going to have like a little bit of an oval, and then I just take my smaller tool and just round out the tip, the top tip, and then you can round out the bottom if you feel the need to. They're just a little bit pointier on the top. And then I'm going to use that same silver tool for each of the other 2 little toes. And then I'm going to grab my nail stylus and just point those out a little bit at the tops of those. And they are a little smaller there for those side little toes. They're a little smaller than the middle 2. So I just kind of make it like an egg. And I'm just kind of pushing the paint out with my size 5 nail stylus. Now that's my largest nail stylus. So that makes me wonder, are they called dog toes? I guess they would be, right? Let me know in the comment section below. It would be toes and like pads, I think. Alright, go with your purple tool next, and you're just going to start on that pad there. So you want to make a dot in the center, and then you're going to make one down lower to the left, and then one down lower to the right. And then we're just going to kind of fill it in and, have it not so sharp, just kind of soften it out with your nail stylus. So go ahead and grab your nail stylus, and we're just going to, curve that little bottom bit out, and then the 2 sides there. Just like that. And then I thought the paw needed to be just slightly bit bigger, so I go ahead and just pull your paint out a little bit down further to each side. You could just push your tool over further if you wanted to, but I'm going to use my nail stylus. You can always make it a little bit bigger but you can't necessarily make it smaller without making a mess. So start small with your increments of, pushing it out a little bit. And I'm just going to leave it just like that. Kind of smooth out that bottom again, and that'll work for me. Alright, now I'm going to use my very smallest nail stylus and some black paint, and just kind of clean up any of the guidelines that I have drawn on. Now I drew those on, just kind of etched them on with the nail stylus, so I just figure I'll just cover them right back up with some black paint, no biggie. Alright, and I found these little containers at the dollar store. I'll talk more about those in just a second, but I'm just going to be making a ring right around the paw. Just want it to fit right around the paw. Now if you don't have any kind of little container that's clear that you can see through that you can do this with, then go ahead and grab your compass. That's totally fine. That would work just as well. But I'm just going to kind of take my nail stylus and just kind of etch a little line around that. Now I got these containers at the dollar store. It was the Dollar Tree, and they come 3 in a container, so 3 for $1, and they screw on, and I like them better than my little snap-on lid ones because the paint still dries out on those for me. So I did like these a lot better. They do seem to keep the moisture in with the paint, so I like this. But anyway, that was a nice little tip to share. Alright, so moving on, I'm going to grab the DecoArt Americana Multi-Surface Satin Paint, and that's called Vanilla Shake. Yum yum. And I'm going to grab my smallest wooden dowel of my dotting tool set, and it's the black tool. And I'm just going to stick to one side of that ring, so you could go on the inside of it if you wanted to. I'm going to go around the outside of it. And you're just going to put a dot all the way around, and you want to just stick to one side of the ring. I think that's the key to keeping them nice and straight. Now I wish I did have a tip to be able to space them out just perfectly, but I don't. And as a matter of fact, if you do have a tip for that, to get just the right amount of dots in, any kind of size ring you have, leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what that would be. Alright, so we're moving on to the purple tool, and this is Anita's metallic white paint, and I just like Anita's paints because they don't have much of a snapback for the metallics, like a lot of metallics do. So I'm going to go with that this time, and I'm going to use my 6-inch guideline stencil. Now this is the 16 slice stencil, but you can use, however many of the guidelines that you want. I just am going to mark 8 on there, so I'm going to do the top, the bottom, and then the crisscross from side to side. And go ahead and grab your purple tool, and we're going to make the dot right at the top. And then I just kind of use the edge of my tool to push the paint around. If there's any that looks a little thinner in the areas, I just kind of push it around, and it seems to work just fine. And then go ahead and do the top, bottom, and then the left and the right, and then right in between each of those. So you can have a total of 8 dots around that center ring there. Alright, now go ahead and grab your size 2 nail stylus. That's the second from the smallest, and we're going to go back with the vanilla shake paint. And I'm going to dip and dot, and then dip and dot, and then dip and dot before I start dotting all the way down. So you're going to have 3 that are the same size there at the top, because I didn't think that it would reach all the way down to the bottom, the base of that dot. So I wanted to get enough on there, and it seems to be that 3 is pretty much the way to go. So to rotate your stone, you want to go straight up and down, and you do want to have the tip of the stylus fully covered in paint. So you're going to dip the tool in paint, dot once, dip the tool in paint again, dot again, and then do it one more time, and then that way, that last time you can go all the way down to the base of that larger dot there. And then on the other side, you're just going to do it twice since you've already got the one main initial dot there. We're going to stick with the size 2, and I'm going to go ahead and dot a couple times around the top there. So we're going to go 4 down, and then on the 5th dot, go ahead and dot all the way down to the base. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one go all the way down. And then the same on the other side. You've already got your first initial dot, so then you're going to need 1, 2, 3, and then on the fourth one, go all the way down to the base. And that does seem to work out to where you can actually reach the base there. So this is where you can kind of situate and get a rough draft of where you're going to put your sweet pet's name on the stone. I'm going to use the top of the stone for this, but you could definitely do it on the bottom or on the side. And then I realized that I could make it a lot larger, so I just kind of rubbed it off and went over it again. Alright, at this point you can grab your silver tool, and I'm going to go back with the vanilla shake paint, and I'm just going to put a dot right in between each of the little golden bridges there. So with this being a memorial stone, I wanted to keep the design classy and simple with nice and clean lines. But you do whatever suits you. You're going to go ahead and grab your size 1 nail stylus dotting tool and go ahead and put a few dots going from the center of that last dot that we just put on all the way down to the ring, and then I go to one side and do the same thing, and then to the other side. It's however many you can fit comfortably. If you just want to do one row, or if you just want to put one dot there, that would be just as well and look just as beautiful. Now I'm kind of etching on some, stretching out those guidelines. And this is just to help you to figure out where to stop on the next row of dots. And that will be useful in just a few moments. For now, I'm going to go ahead and paint on the name, and that'll kind of help me to decide how much further I want to go with the design. I know I want to have ample room for the name. So I'm just going to take some of that same Extreme Sheen by Deco Art paint. It's beautiful gold. And I'm using a paintbrush for this. You could absolutely use your nail stylus if that's all you have and you don't have a brush. That would be no problem at all. And I will show you here in a few more moments as well a little bit more detail on the actual brush or brushes that I use for this particular application. This one is, I think it's a 5/0, and it's just a detail brush. So I'm writing Mufasa there, and you can just freehand your pet's name, and if you didn't want to freehand anything, feel free to, shoot me a message if you want me to make you some sort of stencil. That would be perfectly fine. Now go ahead and grab your size 1 nail stylus, which is your very smallest nail stylus, and now you'll see why I drew on the little line. So I'm going to dot from all the way down in the little dip there of the little golden bridge, and I'm going to dot all the way up to that guideline. But that's going to show me where to stop so that the dots don't go over too far one way or the other. And then I'm going to go with a color called Crisp Blue. This was the color of Mufasa's collar, and I wanted to add a nice little color pop. And I thought, well, what better color to add than the color of his collar? So I thought that would be a nice little touch for his mommy. Here I am just kind of lightly etching on the dates, the year of his birth, and then I'm going to do the year of his death on the other side. And that again is just kind of for placement reference. Going back to the brushes, this is a 000. It's a little bit more pointy. You can get any of these brushes on the internet. I think I probably got these off of eBay, most likely, and I only pay literally a couple bucks at the most for them, so nothing fancy. It doesn't have to be anything, perfect. Just a small detail brush is what you want to look up. My heart completely dropped when I heard about Mufasa's passing because I knew how much Haley loved this dog. I mean, he was the world to her. I mean, he was literally her baby. And you know how we all get like extremely attached to our pets. I mean, they become a part of our family, they're a family member. So when I heard about this, it was just, I I was so devastated for her, you know, I just felt so terrible for her. So I knew I wanted to do some kind of, you know, just something special for her, um, you know, just as a little remembrance piece. All right, so I've got the dates on, and I'm moving on to a color called Sapphire, and it is a Craft Smart paint. It's a multi-surface metallic paint. I think it's beautiful, and again, just kind of um, adding that little bit of color pop to the piece. You could leave this off if you wanted, that's up to you. You could do a lot more with the stone. If you wanted to, you could add more dots, that's up to you, but I just left it just the way it was. So I printed up a picture of Mufasa on regular, just printer paper, and I cut it out, and I just wanted to make sure that it was going to fit on the stone. So you do want to make sure that it fits on your stone, whatever picture size you have. And it fit nicely on the back. And since I'm going to resin this piece, I thought it would be great to be able to add an actual photo of Mufasa. So I am just going to add a little bit of tape, almost like, you know, to laminate it. If you have a little laminator, go ahead and run it through that. That wouldn't hurt anything. But I'm just going to use some tape. It works, you know, perfectly fine for this application. So, and then I'm going to cut off the excess tape. You could probably leave it on. It shouldn't make that much of a difference, but I'm going to go on and cut it off because it probably would hang over my stone if I didn't. And I found some Gorilla Glue. It's Gorilla Super Glue, actually, and it does smell a little stronger than the average super glue, but it worked very, very well. So, and I had tried a couple other things that just didn't quite work, like Mod Podge and Decoupage and stuff like that. So this seemed to work the best of all. And that is it. It's painted, it's dried, it's ready for resin. Now, you do want to wear a mask. This is a great mask. It's by 3M. Highly recommended. You are going to need 2 disposable cups, preferably with lines close to the bottom, and 2 popsicle sticks. And you're going to get your resin. You're going to do equal parts, which you could use a scale. I'm not going to use a scale. Oh, I did add a little bit of this micro pearl powder. It's very, very, very fine glitter, basically, is what it is. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful in resin. You don't want to use a whole lot. A little bit goes a long way. So just a little teeny tiny bit, especially for such a small, you know, project, just one little stone. This is the Pro Marine grade resin, and you can get it. It's a 2-part resin, and I'm just going to use the markings on the cups, the lines on the cups, to make sure I get an even amount of both part A and part B. But if you don't have the little markings on your cups, you do want to use a digital scale to help you make sure you get just the right amount, because it is very important to get them even. Links to all of these products in this video's description down below to help you be able to find it for yourself. You do want to mix this stuff for like 5 minutes, and that I think is an important step as well. Yeah, so just that's how much of the macro Pearl X powder pigment that I added to this cup, and it was a lot. It was I think it's called Jacquard or Jacquard, and that's the brand name. So anyway, all right, I'm going to start with the back of the stone, and I'm just going to put on a little bit with gloves. Do absolutely be wearing some gloves through this whole process. You do not want resin on your hands, and I definitely find that gloves make it easier, for me at least, to apply resin rather than a foam brush or a regular paintbrush. I just use gloves. So I'm going to do a very, very, very thin layer on the back. And I had laid some oil down on my mat. I had gotten a suggestion or seen a suggestion from one of my favorite people in my Facebook group named Helen, and I don't know that it worked for this particular resin. I think maybe we're using different resins. It worked great for hers. You should see the pictures that she shared in the group. But it kind of made the back of mine a little fuzzy, so I'm in the process of re-resining the back. Anyway, don't forget to have a blowtorch ready for this. You will need one. It just pops all the bubbles, even the ones that you can't really, see very well, that, to the naked eye, they're just kind of so small, but it really, really gives it a nice sleek shine there at the end. So definitely want to have you a blowtorch. And then I try to get some close-ups as well as I could to help you to see those sparkles. It's beautiful, and I think she's going to absolutely love it. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, of course, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get all my new releases. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.